When Congressman Elijah Cummings passed away last week, many of his profound and deep-felt views were highlighted. One that touched me in light of our important work, and more importantly, the Senator's vision, is this. He said, "Our children are the living messages we send to a future we will never see." I hope your interactions tonight with our scholars and alumni will assure you that these messengers will fill the future with ability, compassion, and commitment to Maine. Sam Stone is one such messenger. Sam is the 2018 Mitchell Scholar from Poland Regional High School, a first-generation college student, the youngest of 6, 5 boys and a girl. He has just started his sophomore year at the University of Maine, where he's studying parks, recreation, and tourism. Sam is one of our frequent flyers, having embraced almost every program we offered him last year. Though he is only a sophomore, you will see, as we have, that he's highly engaged and has a bright future ahead of him. It's a joy to watch him grow and thrive. Sam.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam Stone. I'd like to thank all of you for being here this evening, as well as to thank the Mitchell Institute and sponsors for allowing us all to be here at the beautiful Portland Sheraton Hotel tonight. This truly is an amazing experience for so many young adults such as myself. Events like these show just how much the Mitchell Institute cares about the next generation of Maine professionals, no matter where our career paths may lead us. They have already given me so many opportunities for which I am extremely grateful, and I'm very excited to see what else is in store for me as I continue my college career. I received the Mitchell Scholarship for the Poland Regional High School class of 2018. Going to school in Poland always provided me with a small and very community-oriented atmosphere growing up. The Mitchell Scholarship was the one that I was most eager to hear back from when I was preparing to go off to college, and I was thrilled to have the honor of receiving it at my high school's awards banquet. After the banquet had ended, the previous year's scholarship recipient, Hope Dubois, told me all about the events the Institute holds and the many resources they provide for the scholars. I'll be completely honest, I started off not really planning on attending many of these events. I had one of those kind of smile and nod conversations with Hope, and unfortunately the conversation had gone in one ear and out the other. I just wasn't really one to attend big events like that. I was a pretty introverted person in high school, and the thought of speaking and connecting with a large amount of new people all at once was really scary to me. This all changed, however, when I started college. I had always known that I wanted some kind of degree in the outdoors, as that is the type of career I've been pursuing basically my entire life. My dad was a Maine game warden, which is what truly sparked my interest in them. He had a love for the outdoors and every kind of recreation. We'd go hunting, fishing, kayaking, hiking, snowmobiling, snowshoeing. You name it, my dad had probably taken my siblings and I out to do it. Not to mention his job as a game warden was the coolest job in the world to me as a kid. His love for the outdoors was passed along to me, and ever since, I've wanted a career in it. As my college career began, I started to feel more comfortable talking to other students, both in my program and beyond. I further found that the Mitchell Institute staff and scholars were incredibly inviting and friendly, which made it so much easier for me to connect with them. The best example of this in action would have to be when I attended the Mitchell Institute Leadership Experience 1, also known as Mile 1, held in Millinocket. After hearing all about Mile 1 through the emails from Kim, the Mitchell Institute Scholarship Director, I started to get really excited for it. Needless to say, the weekend absolutely lived up to my excitement, and then some. Baxter State Park was just as gorgeous as I had heard, and the Mitchell Institute had a lot of fun and engaging events planned for all the scholars. Among these events included having a park naturalist for Baxter State Park, Mark Edwards, attend and talk to us as well as answer any questions that we had. This was a great opportunity for me because Mark had graduated from UMaine Orono for the same degree that I'm currently pursuing. He gave a brief presentation on the history of Baxter State Park, as well as the different things to look out for when we all went on our outdoor excursions. Afterwards, he stayed around for questions, of which I had many. He talked to me briefly about his career path, how he had the original plan of being an architect, but never felt truly passionate about pursuing that career. Eventually, he made his way to work at Acadia National Park and then some of Vermont's state parks before he ended up at Baxter. This change in direction in his career path, as well as learning about the various parks he worked at leading up to Baxter, was an eye-opening experience for me. It not only reinforced the idea that I should be flexible towards other jobs outside of my major, it also made me think about all the different places I could work at as a park ranger. Finding these opportunities was super helpful growing up, because growing up, I was always set on becoming a game warden, just like my dad. It wasn't until this conversation that I had ever truly considered another kind of job. I began to think about the kind of career I could have as a park ranger, as opposed to the one I was destined to have as a Maine game warden. Beyond this conversation with Mark Edwards, Mile 1 was still an incredible experience. I was part of the crew who hiked up to the summit of Mount Katahdin. I was hesitant at first, since it was my first time doing a major hike. Despite that, it was a great experience, especially since I got to see the park rangers hiking up to the summit on our way there. After staring down death on our trek on the knife's edge, we reached the summit, which was truly amazing. The feeling of being at the highest point in the state of Maine and knowing that I and the group of Mitchell scholars with whom I summited were the ones who put the effort in to get there was a surreal experience. Not to mention, we had the perfect weather for seeing the autumn foliage at its peak in the valleys surrounding the mountain. The following day, we volunteered our time in Baxter State Park, cleaning up the campgrounds at the base of Katahdin. This was perfect for me as it gave me an inside look at the management practices that I had learned about in my classes, as well as how they applied in a real-world setting. This kind of experience is something that I never would have gotten had I not attended Mile 1, and it was reiterated when I attended Mile 1 again just a few weeks ago. Aside from the wintry weather at the top of Katahdin, everything matched, if not exceeded, the first year's experience. And I made more excellent connections that I hope to leverage into a job at Baxter State Park next summer. I would have been completely satisfied if this was all the Mitchell Institute had done for me, helping me out with my college expenses and providing me with an opportunity to connect with potential employers was already way more than I was expecting when I applied for this scholarship. But they didn't stop providing me with opportunities at all. Another event that the Mitchell Institute holds every spring is Mile 2. Held at UNM's headquarters in Portland, Mile 2 is a huge event that gives Mitchell scholars the opportunity to learn valuable life skills through various educational sessions. It also allows us to connect with other Mitchell scholars, as well as potential employers at an employer expo, which was the biggest part of Mile 2 for me. When the expo rolled around, I made my way over to the Portland Parks and Recreation Department's table and spoke with Joe Morrow, a Mitchell alumnus and Portland Parks and Rec representative. He gave me a brief idea of all the jobs they had available that summer and told me to check them out online. I gave him my resume and followed up with him afterwards to thank him for taking the time to speak with me and other Mitchell scholars at Mile 2. And soon, I was wrapping up a phone interview with the head park ranger in Portland. I was hired immediately afterwards as a summertime park ranger, which was a huge step for me. I called my mom as I was running around my dorm room with excitement and told her the good news. I was not expecting to get a job in my career field after just my first year at college, not to mention immediately becoming a park ranger. I learned many critical skills this summer that I otherwise would not have picked up on until much later into my career. Had I not attended Mile 2, I would most likely have been washing dishes and prepping food in the kitchen that I had worked at in the previous 4 summers, instead of getting a head start on my career. The Mitchell Institute truly is one of a kind. The scholarship award they give to every scholar is only the beginning of the many things they provide. Had it not been for the amazing events they have held, I would most likely be working in the same kitchen with no connections to potential employers and no game plan on what to do. Although my story with the Mitchell Institute is a great example of how to make the most of the many opportunities given to you, don't just take my word for it. Every Mitchell scholar has their own way in which they've been helped by the Mitchell Institute. Whether it's through the scholarship and emergency funds, helping with various college expenses, through the awesome outdoor activities they provide at Mile 1, or through the connections with employers at Mile 2, there is something for everyone at the Mitchell Institute. They provide us with these opportunities, and it is now our responsibility to act on them. Although I'm only a sophomore, I'm looking forward to seeing where they take me next. Thank you.